Hi, this is Ruby Powers with Powers Law Group. It is Friday, November 9th, 2018, and we're going to give you a summary of immigration news in the week. So first of all, I just came back from a Costa Rica conference, and I had a really great time. I bought this little toucan, so if you have a consult and you see what this is, it's going to remind me of going ziplining in a rainforest in Costa Rica. I had a really great time. But I digress. I also wanted to say that this week, I celebrated 10 years of practice. As per, I had to look at my law license, but it was on November 7th in 2008 that I became licensed with the state of Texas. So, victory. So I'm just reminiscing on that moment. We have Veterans Day on Monday, which is a federal holiday, so that's something to remember. Most federal buildings will be closed and offices and no mail. But let's go ahead and go to the news. So on Tuesday we had elections, and in general, one summary would be the Democrats are going to have the majority for the House of Representatives and Republicans for the Senate. So there was a shift in power for the House. This could be very interesting for lots of different immigration reform potentially in the future, and but in general, time will tell. There's still a month and a half or so before, 2 months before the change of power of the people who will be taking in their new positions. So we'll continue to find out what happens. The other thing to mention is that we'll move on to yesterday's news with a policy memo about notices to appear. So this is important because they had already told us that if a case gets denied, that they could send a notice to appear. USCIS would have authority to send an NTA. Notice to appear is basically your summons to start immigration court. Well, a memo from yesterday just mentioned that starting November 19th, USCIS may issue NTAs, notices to appear, based on denials of those who have applied for T visas, which is trafficking visas, U visas, the victim of crime, and even VAWA visas, as well as SIJ visas, and follow to join I-730s, as well as 485s, which we already knew about the 485. So basically, if you've applied as a VAWA applicant or U or T and it gets denied, you could be sent to immigration court. This is a change from the past when generally one was safe. This could have a lot of repercussions. It will make people not want to apply or not as victims of crime or as trafficking or VAWA. Generally, those were more safe and protected grounds, and there was a lot. Well, I mean, it's hard enough for them to apply and to give all that information, but if now they're going to be afraid that if it's not sufficient enough, that they're going to be sent to court and have to go through that. So this is definitely not a good change. The other thing I wanted to mention was Trump signing an order to limit migrant asylum at U.S.-Mexico border. So for the last month or so, there's been talks of a caravan or caravans, and generally I like to look at it as more as a group of people who are wanting to apply for asylum. And should be given that due process if they do apply in the United States. So on Friday, President Trump signed a proclamation that effectively will suspend the granting of asylum to migrants who cross the border with Mexico illegally for up to 90 days. This will go into effect on Saturday, tomorrow. It means migrants will have to present themselves at U.S. port of entries to qualify. Well, the thing about that is there's only so many port of entries, and people have been already waiting, weeks or months to try to get in because they only allow a few amount of people every day. The order followed on regulation. Okay, Trump's order will be in effect in 90 days or until the U.S. reaches an agreement with Mexico allowing it to turn back asylum seekers who've traveled through Mexico, whichever comes first. There's been diplomats that have been having talks over the issue for this last year. And there's been little indication Mexico would agree to such a pact. So there's a lot more to that order, and actually another part of the news is from today. The ACLU, November 9th, goes to court to challenge Trump's new asylum ban. They're seeking a court injunction to block President Trump's new restrictions on asylum, arguing the lawsuit filed Friday that the policy violates federal immigration law. It's in its legal challenge, ATU argues that Trump's move flouts a 1965 law that says any foreigner who arrives in the U.S., whether or not at a designated port of arrival, may apply for asylum. In addition, the suit charges the president with violating a 1946 law that spells out how the executive branch can develop and issue regulations. So this was filed today. We'll continue to follow this to see what happens. I forgot to mention another piece of news this week, where Attorney General Jeff Sessions resigned, and acting Whitaker, Attorney General Whitaker. There's some argument as to whether or not that was legal for him to be acting in certain actions that he's already been making regarding asylum, and so we'll continue to follow that as well. And another development, another key point in the news for this week was federal court appeals says Trump administration cannot end DACA. So this was in the Ninth Court of Appeals, which upheld a ruling blocking the Trump administration from ending the Obama-era program. So the ruling from a panel in the Ninth Circuit means a nationwide injunction allowing DACA program to continue will remain in effect. So basically, you can keep renewing your DACA. Again, you can't get new DACA if you've never filed before, and you can't get the travel permission if you can't apply for that. But you can keep renewing. And in fact, we've been renewing early for some of our clients just because we weren't sure about the certainty of the future of DACA. But right now, it is, you can renew. We just ordered our holiday cards for the firm. We'll be sending those out later. And we also have these calendars, like we always get calendars, but we have them in our lobby and for 2019 already. So if you ever stop by and want one, make sure to pick them up because we have a limited supply, but we have enough right now. So come and get them. And I think, oh yes, and the one last thing I want to mention is that besides having a great weekend, is that we are very excited that we had a court win today for our client from El Salvador who won withholding of removal, and so now she will be able to stay with her spouse and her children and be able to be safe and not be worried about being deported. And we're very excited about that win today. And we've had a lot of court this month and a lot of interviews, and so continue to press on. And I think that's pretty much it. So I hope you had a good week, and there's a lot of things going on, but as always, tune in to us every Friday. We'll give you an update in English and Spanish of the news in immigration. Have a good day. And oh yeah, these are our numbers, forgot to mention, 713-589-2085, and also have our New Jersey number, but we're also going to be open this Saturday if you want to give us a call at 713-589-2085. Thanks.